join the research community. So our facilitator is going to be starting immediately. So thank you guys for doing this meeting. You're welcome.
Where are we? Okay, I was adding the labels to them. So I've done for ID, I said you can add identification number as the label. You have name of respondents, gender, and so on. So income, I can also do income level of respondents. So I can do car ownership. Religion. So that's for the labels. Now, something very important to note is to know the difference between the labels and between the name you have here and the label. Now, the name is just a short name that you give to SPSS. Here, you don't add a space. You don't add string value, any kind of value. You don't add string values. Okay, let me show you. If I add ID here, it's going to say variable name contains an illegal character. So in the name, variable names is just letters, no space, just short letters to know your variables. These are the names that are shown as your column names, as your variable names above here. So if you notice, when you have owns car here, they didn't use a space, they used an underscore or something. I don't know what it's an underscore. So rather than using a space, if you use a space, variable name contains an illegal character. So that's just the difference between name and label. Label is where you can actually use space to express what that particular variable contains. So with that done, we go to the next column here. We have values. Now, values is where the actual coding is done. So once you have a data, now for my ID and name, I don't have to do much there, but because you don't conduct analysis on names of people, right? Unless it's necessary. But now for gender, we have female and male. It's binary. Owns a car, we have yes and no. So we can tell SPSS that this is actually a categorical data and assign it numbers. That's where values come in. So I can go to gender. We have values and label. So the labels I have there is F for female and M for male. So I can say 1 is M, which is male, and 2 will be F, which is female. You say okay. So once you come here, yeah. So the same thing you will do for values like owns a car. You have 1 is yes, and 2 is no. So you notice I'm doing it majorly for categorical variables. You won't be doing it for numbers. I can't do it for age. because age came in as a numerical variable. It's just numbers 23, 25, 31, 32, 22, 29, 24. So I can't give values to each number because they are already numbers. So it's left as none as measure. So you must not edit everything. You only edit categorical variables like relationship status. You have to assign values to it. So it says no, yes, no, yes. Okay, it's meant to be okay. Sorry, we had married there, so let me change that. So married, we have. I can use zeros and one. It's not. I can say 0 is yes. Sorry, 0 is no. And 1 is yes. Like on and off switch. So it has a category. So what's it? So educational level. You have BSc, MSc, diploma. Okay, so it's just 3 categories. We have the BSc, MSc. Okay, 4 categories and PhD. So I can call this an ordinal scale because it has an order, right? But based on the data in question that we want to analyze. Maybe if the data we're analyzing is dealing with school certification level having an impact on the study, then I can call educational level an ordinal scale, showing that it has an order. But normally it doesn't have an order in this scenario. But if it is something that has implication to do with the order, if the order is necessary for the analysis or for the study that I'm conducting, then I can add the values I can add the measure here as an ordinal scale. But it doesn't have any implication. The order right now, maybe the analysis I want to perform, doesn't have any implication, so I can leave it as nominal scale. But let me still go ahead and add it as ordinal scale. So if it is the ordinal scale, the lowest here is okay. So the spelling is also important. You have to match the spelling you have here with what you imputed, with what you have here. So with that, we have missing. I've talked about that. If you have a missing value, like if maybe one of these is missing, there's nothing here. Here we should have 1 missing. So we should have 1 missing. So you have to prepare your data. But let me keep as no missing. This was PhD, right? So the columns and align. This is just align to the left or right. So if I align to the left, find that this aligns to the left. If I align to the right, to the center, find that this is aligned here. So this is just basic. So after that, the measure and roll. Okay, we'll just talk about that one later. So that's pretty much it, coding a variable. So coding a variable, to summarize it, the main focus there is what is the variable type. So you ask yourself what is the variable type and what is the measure. Yeah. So what's the variable type? You add the label for clear identification. You add the values and the measure. So these are the key strategic points. Then if it's a numerical variable that has decimals, you can also add the number of decimals that the variable contains. So these, once you are done with this, your data is now ready for analysis. You can now begin to conduct whatsoever analysis you want to conduct in SPSS. So finally for tonight, because we'll still continue and have more series will be coming up on SPSS analysis, so we can't actually cover all about SPSS this night, so we'll just be taking it bit by bit. So finally for tonight, we'll be talking about recoding. So this is actually a little advanced, but for the sake of tonight, because we're already talking about coding, so I say let me just use this medium and talk about recoding. It's a little advanced, but I'll try to make it I'll try to communicate it to you guys and make you understand it very, very much well. So just as I did about the coding, I break it down bit by bit. That's what I will do for the recoding. Now, what you ask me is, what is recoding? Now, recoding comes as a way of correcting errors that were done, or to change the form of a variable type to something else that you want to analyze. Like changing a variable, maybe from a numerical variable, you add a numerical variable, but you want to change it to a categorical variable, you can recode, right? Maybe you had some missing values, maybe you have a large number of variables and a large number of data in your variable, and there are missing values. You want to edit it, you want to make some changes. That is where recoding comes in. So in SPSS, once you go to transform, you have two types of recoding here. You have recode into same variable, recode into same variables, and we have recode into different variables. So once you have maybe an error and a massive error in your data, that's in a particular variable column, I want to change that particular variable. You want to change it and correct that error. You can actually use recode into same variable. Like you want to change an error that is existing in a particular variable, column. Let me use the word column now. So, but if you want to change entirely a particular variable type into something else, like as I said earlier, you want to change numerical into categorical. You know what I mean by numerical into categorical? Like we have our age here is numerical, it came in as numbers, but I want to now group it into categorical. You can use code into different variables. So I believe that is very clear. So I'll do an example of what I'm saying, and I hope you understand what I'm going to do, because this side is a little bit advanced. So just pay rapt attention to what I'll be doing now. So once I go to recode into same variable, all the variables that I have in this file will come out here in this dialog box. So I have to choose the particular variable that I'm working with. So let me say I'm using I can use the identification number. Let's use identification number for this. So once I toggle it, I will use this arrow to move it here. So this is the variable that I'm working on. The next thing I'll do there, I'll go to old and new variable, because I'm working on the data inside that variable group. So I will change the old variable to a new variable, like the old. Okay, let's just go straight into it. Now, old value. Here we have old value. Here we have new value. So old value, maybe I have 1 here. That's this one that I have here. So I can come here and call it 2, or let me say 10 or 100 or whatever. Add. Continue. Okay. So 1 that I have here becomes 10. So if I have 1 anywhere around this particular variable group, and I perform that operation, let me do it again. So, right. 1. Okay. So once I do that operation again, continue. Okay. So you find out that all the numbers 1 return to 100 automatically. So when you have maybe an outlier, a number that is very large, that is unusual to your data, and you want to remove it without going, maybe because this thing I'm talking about now has to do with when you have a lot of data. This data now, this data set that I have here has only 10 columns, right? But you can have data sets that are up to 1,000 columns, or rows rather. I'm not talking about columns. 1,000 rows. You can't go one by one and be editing it, maybe removing one and turning it to 100. You just use transform, code into same variable, and do it automatically. So if you have maybe an outlier, you want to remove it entirely. Maybe I want to remove this 100 entirely and make it 0. I can just come here and say 100 will now become, just leave it empty, and okay. Let me try 0. Continue. That's okay. And same thing happens. So it's just very easy for transforming into the same variable. Very easy. It's just to correct. Maybe you have an error, you want to correct it. Very easy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So the more advanced one is transforming into different variables. So I'll talk about it and we are done for tonight. But before I talk about transforming into different variables, I want to highlight on something I missed out earlier on, right? Whenever I perform any operation, there is always this other box, this other page that SPSS takes me to. So someone might ask, what is this page? So this is what we call SPSS output page. So once SPSS runs any analysis or any operation, it brings out a result on this page explaining the coding that it or what it did. So this is also where you receive your outputs when you perform descriptive analysis. When you request for a table, this is where SPSS will drop the table for you in your output interface. So we have two interfaces here. We have the output, this one, right? And then we have this other one, which is the main SPSS data editor. This is where you do your analysis. This one here. Then you have the other one, which is the output document. So in subsequent sections, we'll still get to talk more about it. So finally, let's recode into different variables. So to put it to a test, I'll be converting this age variable. I want to group it. Let me say I want to group this age variable, the data in age variable, into young, adult, and old. Okay, I don't really have very old age numbers, but okay, let me group it into young, senior, and youth. So I want to group this age that came in as numeric data. I want to group it into a categorical data. So what I have to do is I go to transform, encode into different variables. I'll select age. It comes out here. Now you have name and label. This is the name for the new, we are creating a new category. So you have to give name and label for this new category. So I can call it age group. Remember, name variables don't have space, so I can't put space here. If I put space here, it will return as an error. So I have to use this age group, and then the label I can call it grouped. This one can have space. Group ages of respondents. Right? So change. It comes here. You can find it here. Age is being changed into age group. Okay, I made a mistake here. Okay, so the age variable column is being transformed into age group. That's what this output box is telling you now. So I'll go straight to old and new variables. We have value, let's say 1. So now, very important, for the particular operation I want to perform, I want to group these ages. Let's talk about it a little before I continue. Okay. Now what I want to do is this. I want to group from age 25 to from age 23, which is the lowest. Okay, 22 is the lowest. So from age 20, if you want to know the lowest, it's very simple. You can just run a right click and run a descriptive analysis for it. You can find the lowest. The minimum here is 22. The maximum is 33, 31. Very easy. But I can still use my eyes because the data is small. But it's better to do that so that you'll be very sure and not make mistakes. So the lowest here we have is 22 and the highest we have is 31. Now we have 22 to 31. So I want to group it into 3. 22 to 24, then 24 to 28, and then 28 to 31. So quickly, I'll just go back to the code into different variables, pull out my age, call it age group, I call this root age of respondents, change, add new values. Now, this is what I'm going to do. So for the lowest value, we have 22 to 23. I'll click this range lowest through to the value that I'm going to put here now. So the lowest there we have is 22. So through to 24 or 25, okay, 24. I will now give them a value. I'll assign it a value. I'll call it young. All right. Okay. 1. 24. I'll call it young. Okay. Before I do that, I have to toggle this range. Oh, sorry. Okay, to 24, I'll call it 1. Rather, not, you don't put string values here. It's later that you add string values. I made a mistake. So now this is for the first group, right? The lowest through to 24. I'll call it 1. That's my first group. Now the second group will be 25 to 28. So I will use range. I won't use lowest. I'll use range. 25 to 28. And I'll call it 2. Then for the last, which is this value through to the highest, right? So I started at 28, so I'll just say 29 through to the highest, which is 31. SPSS already knows that. So I'll call it 3 and add, continue. All right, so that's it. So I'll click OK. So you find out that once SPSS runs any analysis, it brings us to this output document. And what it says here is the code age, lowest through to 24, 24 through to this through to this, into group, variable label. So it's just describing what it did and ended up with execute. So when you come here, you now find that age group here has been done. So if you find, you see 1 here is 23. That means this particular age it falls between that category of 22 to 24, which is 23, obviously. Now we have 25, it falls into the second category, third category, and so on. So they're already running far behind time. So I'm rounding up quickly. So I can now go straight to the variable view. You can see it here. Age group is a numeric data type, and I can change it to, okay, no, it will remain as numeric, but it is categorical. See it here, it is categorical. So I would change this. I had 1 as young, I have 2 as youth or teen. No, youth. Let me just use youth for this. And I had 3 as older. once I go back to my variable, once I go back to my data view, find out that it has grouped that the ages of this respondent into young, youth, and older. So these recoding into different variables is just a way of transforming data to get what you want. It depends on what you are looking for in the data set. So you can use transform into different variables and into same variables to get what you are looking for, depending on what you are looking for. So I just transformed my age into a categorical variable. So you can do more and more. There are a lot of things that you can actually do with SPSS. So I can also do, there's something else we have which is called if statement. That's optional case selection. Now this is, I want to do a transformation, but I want to exclude or include a particular group for some other reasons. So I'll just do that quickly. That will be the last thing that I'll be doing now, and we will get done. So once you want to recode maybe only a part of your data, you can use what? The if button. So let me say I want to recode married people, but now I want to include income in what I want to recode. Like I want to recode married people, but with a specific income level. I want to bring them, sort them out as a group, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll go to transform and go to code. I'm going to remove this and take married. Okay, where is that? Okay, the relationship status. And take married and call it, let me say, married income. And group this with high income in marriage. Right? Change. Now this is what I'm performing. This is the okay, let me change this. This is what my output variable will look like. This is the operation I want to perform right now. So first of all, I will go to old variables. Okay. No. I'll go to if. Now, so I can include married people. Sorry, I will start with okay, I'll start with this. So here we have yes and no. For married, we had yes and no. That is, if you are married, yes. If you are not married, no. So I can start with yes. Those who are married, yes. So I want to sort out those who are married. Yes. And sort them into a group based on their financial level. Right? Now this new value we have yes 1 and no will be 2. Okay, let me find out what I coded it. No was 0. Yes 1. Okay. I just wanted to know what I used for coding this one. Now back to what we are doing. We code into different variables. Take this out, put relationship here. Call it married. Okay, you don't put a space here on this. That should be okay. Okay, so change. All right. Okay, so okay, I think I should do income instead. Let me do income instead. Income. Married. Change. Okay. So I can say 0 through to what's the lowest value we had? Let's find out the lowest value. I want to find out the lowest value we have here. Okay, the minimum is 43,000 and the maximum is 60,000. Okay. All right, let's do it again. Okay, now the minimum was let me take you to 48,000. I'll call it 1. And then $48,001 into 50,000. I'll call it 2. and then 50,001 into 60 and that would be 3, right? So I'll add that. Okay, continue. So I will do an if statement and say and choose marital status, right? And say equals. When I coded my marital status, I had 0 for no and 1 for yes. So let me say 1. So continue. Okay, now you can find out that I'm having an error. It's because of the way I coded my marital status. I didn't code it well. So it's saying that consider using string or number function. Okay, let me use something else. Let me use educational level. Let me use educational level instead. Equals 2. String or number function. So this is the new variable that I have. All right, so I can also do something like, I can also do maybe more transformation. Let me try doing something like, okay, income level. Let me try. So this is pretty much the much you can do with transformation of recoding of variables. So I recoded these variables into educational level. So I made the second category of the educational level, which is BSc. I had the little error there, but I have to rotate this view. But I think you guys get a raw idea of what I did. So let me go through the slide again. So we have two types of recoding into same variable, recoding into different variable. One transforms value for easier analysis, convert male and female to 1 and 2, which we have done. It groups categorical data, like I did age to age groups. Simplifies text response to numerical data. So, okay, I've done some of this. Recode, create youth, adult, and senior. Handle missing values. So if you have missing values, you can just recode into same variables and take out missing values. So very important things to notice: your variable names are set correctly and your variable measure is set correctly, because you will get errors and lots of errors once your variable measure is not set correctly. I think I was having an error in my Pareto variable measure. I was having an error with my Pareto variable measure. So it's very, very simple. We still have a part 2 of this class, maybe even part 3 and 4, to make sure that these things are properly dealt with. So why do you recode? You recode for clarity and to make meaningful analysis, because once you are doing an analysis and you encounter maybe a challenge, you need maybe a new variable needs to be created to settle that challenge. Like I say, you have age and your age came as numbers, but you want to group them so that you can have a clearer view or a clearer picture of the age categories that you're working with. So you can recode for the fact that your age came as numerical variable is not the end of the world. So you can use code into new variables and transform the age. So I performed some other analysis which I didn't write in the slide, like descriptive analysis. You can run very quick descriptive analysis with SPSS, do tables and charts, which we'll be looking at in subsequent classes, subsequent sections rather. So with that said, I think we have come to the end of tonight's section. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you very much for your time. And I also thank the our host for such opportunity as availed us to benefit and to make use of, learn more about SPSS. So if you don't have SPSS already downloaded in your system or your laptop, you can go on to our YouTube channel and watch the video we did for installing SPSS. So thank you very much. If you have any question, you can drop your question now in the chat box that I can address it quickly, not less than 5 minutes. Do you have any question? Yeah, any question? If you have any question, if you are following us and maybe something you didn't quite grasp, you can ask your question now, so I can see if I can attempt to. Okay, I'm still waiting for your questions. If you have any question, we talked about importing, talked about SPSS files and different types of files, text, Google Sheets. Data can come in any file, in any file format. It can come in data, Google spreadsheets, it can come in Excel, it can come in okay. Okay, we have he said with the video you made available for us to go through data. Yeah. It will be uploaded on the YouTube channel. We do that every day. Okay, is there any other question? Okay. So, like I said, we talked about importing, we talked about coding, we also talked about coding. We still have subsequent sections to clear every other doubt. But if you have any question, all right, thank you very, very much for sticking with me tonight. Have a good night.